Fresh out of grad school, I was ready to propose to my girlfriend, Serena Vance. She had promised to marry me, but instead of a yes, I waited only to face a team of private security guards storming into my studio. They pinned me down by the shoulders, forcing my right arm onto the drafting table. A heavy baton smashed down. The sickening crunch of bone was audible, and I nearly blacked out from the white-hot pain that followed. A young man in a bespoke suit, the picture of old money arrogance, tossed a marriage certificate onto my face, sneering. "You're fresh out of school, kid? Don't just eat out of any woman's hand without knowing who feeds you." He leaned in, his voice dripping with disdain. "Remember this. Serena Vance is my lawfully wedded wife." My mind went blank. Fighting through the shock, I used my last ounce of strength to dial Serena with my good hand. "Serena, you lied to me. You promised we'd get married. There's a man here claiming to be your husband." My hand. He broke my hand. The voice on the other end was suffocatingly cold. "Since you've bumped into him, I won't hide it anymore. I'm the eldest daughter of the Vance family, one of the biggest dynasties in New York. Julian Thorne is my husband. He just needed to vent a little frustration. Be smart and endure it." The phone slipped from my fingers. I felt a chill settle deep in my bones. I wasn't her fiancé. I was the other man, a homewrecker who didn't even know he was wrecking a home. When I woke up, I was staring at a hospital ceiling. I instinctively looked at my right arm. It was heavily bandaged, a throbbing, drilling pain radiating from it. This hand, it might be ruined. Rage filled my chest, and I clenched my left fist until the knuckles turned white. "You're awake." A familiar voice sounded beside me. I turned my head stiffly. Serena was sitting there, legs crossed, idly flipping through a fashion magazine. Seeing me awake, she closed the magazine and walked to the bedside, her expression indifferent. "The doctor said that while the fracture is severe, the nerves aren't severed. With therapy, it'll be usable." "Usable?" I stared at her, my throat dry as sandpaper. "Serena, that is my hand. And those blueprints. That was 3 years of my life." Serena frowned slightly, seemingly annoyed by my tone. She placed a check on the nightstand. It landed with a soft flutter. "Julian has a bad temper. He was impulsive this time. Here's $1 million. Take the money, go abroad, clear your head, and fix your hand. I'll arrange for top-tier treatment overseas. As long as you know your place, we can go back to how things were." How things were? I looked at the check, then let out a cold, mocking laugh. "Serena, what do you take me for? You said I was your fiancé. You promised to marry me." Serena suddenly leaned down, patting my cheek. The warmth in her eyes was gone, replaced by a chilling arrogance. "Caleb, you need to understand clearly that you're the man I keep on the side. Don't overstep." In that moment, a tidal wave of shame drowned me. Yes, I was just her kept man, her boy toy. The thing I hated most in this world was infidelity, yet she had made me a party to it for 3 years without my knowledge. The sweet memories, the vows, they all felt like slaps across my face now. Be content with what you have. Don't get greedy. I fell silent, feeling nothing but nausea. 3 months ago, when my final architectural drafts were nearing completion, Serena had looked at them with genuine hunger in her eyes. "Caleb, once this portfolio is done, I'll take you home to meet my parents." I thought she admired my talent and wanted to build a future. Now I realized what love. I just hadn't expected her to be that Serena Vance. She chose me because my background was clean, my talent was undeniable, and I was the perfect ghostwriter. Her disguise had been flawless. "Stay in the hospital for a few days. I'll visit when I have time," she said, straightening up. "And remember, don't provoke Julian. Even I can't protect you if you do." She turned to leave, her silhouette resolute. I grabbed the water glass on the table and hurled it at the doorframe. The sound of shattering glass exploded in the room. Serena paused, but didn't look back, dropping one cold phrase, "Unreasonable." After she left, I lay there like a puppet with its strings cut. The thought that I had unknowingly slept beside another man's wife, enjoying the warmth that belonged to him, made me want to vomit. I was a victim, but I was also a perpetrator. This dual torture was burning my sanity to ash. The next afternoon, Julian Thorne came to see me. He wore a custom Italian suit, radiating the arrogance of the ultra-rich. 2 bodyguards trailed him, carrying a thermos. "Mr. Stone is recovering well," Julian said, walking to the bed and removing his sunglasses to reveal mocking eyes. "Heard you threw a tantrum yesterday. Quite the temper." He waved a hand, and a bodyguard placed a thermos on the table. "I had a chef make you some bone broth. After all, you sacrificed that hand for the partnership between the Vance and Thorne families. Even if you're just a gigolo, the Thorne family is generous." I gripped the sheets, veins bulging on my good hand. He was humiliating me. Take your trash and get out. Julian laughed loudly. Caleb, get a grip on reality. I am Serena's husband. I am his son-in-law of the Vance Empire. You're just a shameful little secret. Serena kept you around because you're pretty enough to alleviate her boredom. You didn't actually think you could marry up into our world, did you? He was right. I was Serena's plaything. But I never wanted to replace him. I just wanted the truth. I stared him down coldly, which seemed to irritate him. What? Think a little talent gets you a seat at the table. Serena wants the accolades, sure, but she would never offend the Thorne family for a charity case like you. And she certainly wouldn't make her lawful husband unhappy for an outsider. He pulled a document from his bag and threw it at me. The sharp paper sliced my cheek, drawing a bead of blood. This is your termination notice. My pupils constricted. I ignored the sting on my face and picked up the paper. It was from a design firm I joined less than 6 months ago, my dream job. Stamped in red. Terminated. Reason: unethical conduct, damaging company reputation. I gritted my teeth, fury rising. What right do you have? That's my career. Julian adjusted his cufflinks casually. You still don't know? The biggest investor in that firm is the Vance family. As her son-in-law, I fire who I want. Serena gave you $1 million for old time's sake. But me? I don't tolerate grit in my eye. Take the money and get out of New York. Otherwise, next time, it won't just be a hand that gets broken. He smirked, his tone turning venomous. I hear you have a grandmother in a nursing home upstate. Elderly people are so fragile. They can't handle much stress, can they? I sat up violently, grabbing his lapel, eyes wide with rage. Julian, if you touch my grandmother, I will kill you. The bodyguards instantly pinned me back to the bed, jarring my injured arm. I gasped in pain. Julian smoothed his rumpled collar with a look of disgust. That depends on whether you know how to behave. Drink the soup while it's hot. Don't waste my goodwill. He turned and left. Looking at the thermos, my stomach churned. I swept it off the table with a crash. I stayed in the hospital for 3 more days. The moment I was discharged, worried sick about Grandma, I went straight to the nursing home. But when I arrived, her bed was empty. The head nurse looked at me with pained awkwardness. Mr. Stone, it wasn't our choice. It's Mr. Thorne cut off all funding. No facility in the city will admit her now. I went cold, my fists cracking as I clenched them. I demanded Julian's number from the nurse. Julian, come at me if you have a problem. Don't touch my grandma. Julian laughed, arrogantly on the other end. Caleb, if you want to save that old hag, come to the Velvet Lounge tonight. Dress nicely, and don't keep me waiting. She can't handle too much excitement. The line went dead. I gripped the phone until my knuckles turned white. My parents died when I was young. Grandma raised me, scraping by to keep us alive. In my senior year, she fell ill. I gave up grad school, initially to work and pay her bills. She was my only family. I couldn't let anything happen to her. The Velvet Lounge was the city's most notorious playground for the rich, but I had no choice. At 8 p.m., wearing a simple button-down, I arrived at the VIP booth Julian had specified. Serena was sitting in the center of the sofa. She froze when she saw me. Julian had his arm around her shoulders, looking entirely unsurprised. Surrounded by a mix of socialites and wealthy heirs, the room looked at me with mockery. Yo, is this the boy toy Serena kept? He is handsome. No wonder she kept him for 3 years. Heard he's a genius designer, right? Ha ha ha. Julian sat up, pointing to a row of shot glasses lining the table. Depth charges, high-proof spirits dropped into beer. Mr. Stone, don't just stand there. The Vance family doesn't support idlers. If you want your grandmother's hospital admission reinstated, you need to entertain me. Finish these, and I'll make the call. There were at least 20 glasses. My hand was still throbbing, and I was exhausted. Drinking this much in my condition wasn't just dangerous. It was a death wish. I instinctively looked at Serena. She was gripping her wine glass tightly, a slight frown on her forehead. Julian deliberately pulled her closer. Babe, I just want to see him drink. He was so eager to please you before. What's a little alcohol now? You don't feel sorry for him, do you? Serena's gaze lingered on my pale face for a second before she looked away. Her voice was devoid of emotion. Why would I? If my husband wants to see it, let him drink. As long as you're happy, play however you want. I swallowed the humiliation, my voice low. I'll drink. Serena flinched, just for a moment. I didn't hesitate. I picked up the first glass and downed it, then the next. The acrid liquid scorched my throat and burned in my empty stomach. Julian clapped and cheered. Serena refused to look at me, twisting the diamond ring on her finger. By the 10th glass, my vision began to blur, and sharp cramps seized my stomach. The glass slipped from my hand and shattered. I couldn't hold on any longer and collapsed backward. In the last second before consciousness faded, I vaguely saw the woman who had been watching coldly suddenly shoot to her feet. I woke up to the feeling of softness beneath me, warmth bringing me back from the void. Opening my eyes, I realized I was in a hotel suite. It was quiet. No one else was there. My head was splitting, and my stomach still burned. On the nightstand sat a glass of warm honey water and a box of stomach medicine. My memory returned in fragments. I remembered that before I completely blacked out, Serena had caught me. And that shout, enough. Her tone had been frantic as she ordered the bodyguards to carry me out. Holding the warm glass, a pathetic sense of bitterness rose in my chest. Serena, if you could watch me be humiliated, why pull me back from the brink of death? Was it genuine care, or just pitiful guilt? Regardless, that crumb of kindness felt insignificant against the reality of her deception. The phone on the bedside table buzzed. It was the nursing home. My heart stopped. I answered with trembling hands. Mr. Stone, come quickly. Your grandmother. She's fading fast. She went into shock from the stress and cold. Sudden cardiac arrest. I felt like I'd been plunged into ice water. I scrambled up and rushed to the facility. When I arrived, all I saw was a bed covered by a white sheet. Grandma. I fell to my knees and pulled back the cloth. Her kind face was gray and still, her eyes slightly open. The only family I had in this world was gone. Numbly, I handled her funeral arrangements and returned to the apartment I had shared with Serena. No one had been back since Julian's visit. The wreckage from the security team's raid was still there, dried blood spot from my broken hand, stained floor. I rummaged for things belonging to me and Grandma, intending to leave for good, when I found an old sketch inside a textbook. I remembered this. Junior year. I stayed up for 3 nights straight drawing this for an international competition. Serena had told me it was too depressing and not suitable for the judges, so I drew a new one. I won the award with the second piece, but this original draft vanished. I thought I'd lost it. Suddenly, I flashed back to the hospital. The magazine Serena was reading. I had only caught a glimpse, but it featured a design that looked identical to this sketch. At the time, I was too consumed by the pain in my arm to process it. Now, the pieces clicked together. I frantically searched for that issue on my phone. The result was absurd. The Vance Group's upcoming landmark skyscraper, their project of the year, had a core design concept identical to my work. And the lead architect listed was Julian Thorne. So that was it. I started laughing, my body shaking, but no tears came, only pure hatred. I finally understood why Serena chose me. It wasn't just that I was clean and easy to manipulate. Julian was a fraud, so she tricked me into drawing for him. Julian couldn't play the genius, so she used my drafts to pave his road. From the very beginning, Serena Vance approached me to find a ghostwriter for her incompetent husband. I tore the rejected drafts I had drawn for her into confetti. 3 days later, the Vance Group was holding their press conference. I was going to give them a gift they would never forget. The day of the launch, the giant screen displayed my work. Julian stood on stage, gleaming in the spotlight, calmly answering questions. I watched him and Serena from the shadows, a cold sneer on my face. The moderator asked, Mr. Thorne, the design is exquisite. Can you share your creative philosophy? Julian linked arms with Serena, smiling triumphantly. My inspiration came from my love for Serena. I wanted to give her a warm home. I pulled my cap lower, blending into the press pit, and raised my hand. Mr. Thorne, since this is your masterpiece, could you tell us exactly when you created this design? And where was the initial concept sketch completed? Julian hesitated. The question was too basic, yet too specific. He hadn't done the work, so he fudged it. About 6 months ago, in my study. 6 months ago, I smirked, but the style leans heavily towards the trend from 3 years ago. Are you certain it a new work from 6 months ago? Julian's smile froze. He looked helplessly at Serena. Serena squinted, finding me familiar, but between the sunglasses and mask, she didn't recognize me immediately, assuming I was just a difficult reporter. Friend from the press, today is a launch event. Please refrain from off-topic questions. She took the microphone, her tone icy. Security, please escort this disruptor out. 2 guards moved toward me. No need. I'll leave after I finish my questions. I ripped off my sunglasses and mask. Serena nearly dropped the mic, her pupils dilating. Caleb, Julian turned pale. How are you here? The reporters paused, assuming this was a staged interaction. But admitting my identity openly was a shock. I stared at Julian, pressing him step by step. Julian, since you designed it, tell me, which 3 structural mechanics models did you use for the load-bearing framework? Why is the main beam tilted 15 degrees west? Julian was sweating bullets. He couldn't answer a single word. The The reporters smelled blood. Skepticism rose like a tide. Why isn't Mr. Thorne answering? He can't answer basic questions? Did he use a ghostwriter? Is the Vance Group's project plagiarism? Julian panicked. He couldn't admit to plagiarism. Desperate, he pointed a shaking finger at me and screamed, "Don't listen to him. He's not a reporter. He's a gigolo who seduced my wife." The crowd gasped at the sudden twist. Seeing the shock, Julian immediately played the victim. "This man is Caleb Stone. He was a charity case my wife's company supported. I felt sorry for him and gave him a job. But he bit the hand that fed him and seduced Serena while I was on a business trip. He's here to ruin me because he's jealous." The crowd buzzed with confusion. "Oh my God, the mistress is crashing the party. This is juicy." The reporters looked at each other, hesitant but intrigued. Just then, a shrill voice cut through the noise. "I recognize him. I saw him at City Hospital. Last week he was brought into the ER, covered in injuries. I heard his hand was broken." He was calling Mrs. Vance's name. That comment seemed to verify Julian's story. The wind shifted instantly. The suspicion of plagiarism morphed into an interrogation of me as the other man trying to force a divorce. "Were you really kept by her? Crashing the event after getting dumped? Have some shame." Microphones were shoved in my face. "Mr. Stone, did you knowingly wreck a home? Are you targeting Mr. Thorne out of jealousy?" Facing the accusations of thousands, I didn't defend myself. I just stared dead at Serena. "Serena, speak. Tell them. Did I seduce you?" Serena stood there, fists clenched, a flicker of struggle in her eyes. I had been deceived by her. She still felt guilt. Julian whispered urgently beside her, "Serena, say something." Serena closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. When she opened them, she avoided my gaze and slowly nodded to the cameras. "Yes, he approached me for money. The design claims. He's just twisting concepts to blackmail me." Julian smirked, quickly masking it with a pained expression. "Mr. Stone, we gave you the $1 million. You should be content. You're making a scene today because it wasn't enough." At that moment, I laughed out loud. "Serena Vance, thank you," I said, my voice cutting through the murmurs. "Thank you for letting me see exactly what kind of monster you are." I pulled my phone from my pocket and held it up. "Since you two have no shame, let's let everyone hear the truth." I turned the volume to maximum and held it to the microphone in front of me. A clear, crisp recording blasted through the speakers. It was the conversation from the hospital, the one I'd secretly recorded when Julian came to humiliate me. "Serena kept you around because you're pretty enough to alleviate her boredom. She wants the accolades, sure, but she would never offend the Thorne family for a charity case. I hear you have a grandmother in a nursing home. Elderly people are so fragile. They can't handle much stress." Julian's arrogant voice echoed through the hall. When the recording ended, the room exploded in an uproar. Julian's face drained of color. He never imagined I would have recorded him in that state. "That's synthetic. It's AI. It's fake." I met his gaze calmly, my eyes darkening. "Julian, you didn't just plagiarize and intimidate. You committed murder. In the recording, you threatened my grandmother. A few days later, she died. You think the world believes in coincidences like that?" This shook even Serena. She turned to Julian, her voice trembling. You really killed Caleb's grandmother? You told me you just cut the funding." She knew how much Grandma meant to me. She knew that was my life. Julian panicked, shaking his head frantically. "I didn't. Serena, don't listen to him. He's framing me." I looked at him coldly. "I've already submitted evidence to the police, including the nursing home's access logs and witness testimony." As soon as the words left my mouth, the double doors swung open. A group of uniformed NYPD officers walked in, escorting a nurse's aide. The aide pointed a trembling finger at Julian. "That's him. He brought a group of men to see Mrs. Stone, and right after that, she passed away." The police didn't waste time. They slapped handcuffs on Julian immediately. Julian flailed, grabbing at Serena. "Serena, you can't let them take me. I did it for the family. I did it for you." Serena stood frozen, watching her husband get dragged away, then turned to look at me, her eyes filled with shock and guilt. The press conference ended in chaos. The internet was on fire with speculation. I scrolled through the hashtags. Public opinion was swinging to my side. But soon, posts damaging to Vance and Thorne interests started disappearing. As Julian had said, this was a world run by capital. The Thorne family's legal team was formidable. Less than 48 hours later, he was out on bail. Walking out of the precinct, Julian's expression was twisted with rage. That bastard. And that damn nurse. He sat in his limousine, shaking with anger, and hurled a water bottle at the window. "That aide is a greedy nobody. How dare she suddenly testify against me? There's a problem. He dialed a subordinate, his voice venomous. Investigate that nurse. Find out who she's met. I don't believe in sudden bursts of conscience. The Thorn network was efficient. Before long, they sent him a surveillance clip. It showed me, wearing a cap, handing the nurse a bank card. She accepted it with a wide grin, mouthing the words, "Don't worry." Watching the video, Julian's dark face broke into a manic laugh. Caleb Stone, you were too smart for your own good. Bribing a witness? That's perjury. Let's see how you die now. Meanwhile, I was sitting on a sofa in my rental, tracing the edge of Grandma's photo frame. The doorbell rang. Before I could answer, Julian shoved the door open and barged in. Caleb, told you couldn't beat me. He looked around the shabby apartment with disgust. You thought buying a witness could take me down? Naive. He tossed a tablet onto the table, playing the video. You used Serena's breakup money to frame her lawful husband. Caleb, when I hand this over, you won't just go to jail. You'll rot there. Julian gloated, thinking he had my throat in his hand. My face went pale. How do you have that? Anything money can solve isn't a problem for the Thorn family. Julian stepped closer, sneering. That nurse took your money, then sold you out to me. She's my witness now. I slumped onto the sofa, my voice trembling. What do you want? Drop the charges, Julian demanded, looking down at me. And issue a public apology admitting you fabricated lies to extort me. Seeing my hesitation, he laughed coldly. What? Not happy about it? That old hag of yours deserved to die. She was just wasting oxygen occupying that bed. I looked up sharply, my eyes red. It really was you. You ordered them to pull the plug? Julian saw my rage and impotence and felt invincible. He leaned in, whispering viciously, so what if I did? I'll tell you. I ordered them to cut her oxygen. That old woman crawled on the floor, begging me to let you go. It was pathetic. In New York, if I want someone dead, it's like crushing an ant. The nurse is mine. The footage is destroyed. What do you have to fight me with? He got more excited as he spoke. Slowly, I lifted my head. The fear and anger had vanished from my face. Are you done? A faint smile played on my lips. Julian paused, frowning. What are you laughing at? I pointed to a hidden camera lens in the corner of the living room, then to the brooch on my collar. Mr. Thorn, I forgot to mention. I am livestreaming. Every word you just said has been synced to the NYPD major crime servers. Oh, and to the 2 million people currently watching this stream. Julian spun around, his face turning sheet white. You set me up? The front door was kicked open. The police had been waiting in the hall. Julian Thorn, let's see who bails you out of this one. With millions of witnesses and his own confession, he had no defense. The video of me bribing the nurse was bait, a trail of breadcrumbs I left to make him feel secure enough to brag about the murder. Julian collapsed to the floor and was dragged out. This time, no amount of money or power from the Vance or Thorn families could silence the masses or save him. The dust finally settled. Julian was sentenced to life in prison. The Thorn family stock plummeted, dragging them into financial ruin. The Vance family, as in-laws and enablers, faced total reputational collapse and were ousted from the city's elite circle. I bought a train ticket south, carrying Grandma's ashes, ready to leave this city of heartbreak. Serena Vance appeared at the station, blocking my path. In just half a month, she looked haggard and broken. Caleb. Her eyes were red, her voice raspy. She tried to grab the handle of my suitcase. I divorced Julian. The family took a hit, but I still have assets. We can start over, can't we? I really loved you. When I first saw you, my heart truly moved. The marriage was a business arrangement. I didn't love him, but I had no choice. I know I was wrong. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I'll find the best doctors for your hand. I'll make you the official son-in-law of the Vance family. I swear. Looking at this woman begging so pathetically, I couldn't even find hatred in my heart anymore. Just pity and disgust. I took a step back, avoiding her touch. Serena, don't you think I'd feel dirty? Serena's face fell. The gullible, obedient Caleb you loved is dead. He died the moment you let Julian crush my hand and admitted I was just a mistress. As for being the Vance son-in-law, I gave a mocking smile. Save that title for hell. Give it to Julian. The final boarding call echoed over the intercom. I pulled my suitcase and walked through the gate without looking back. Serena suppressed a sob, still calling my name. I pretended not to hear. I touched the ear in my bag. Grandma, let's go. To a place without lies or betrayal. As for Serena Vance, she would spend her long, bleak life rotting in regret and ruin.